The President and Spire call this House to order. On the motion that this House would make obese citizens fully pay their own medical expenses, I'd like to call the first speaker from the opening government to open this debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of this House today. Under the status quo, we are paying 70% of the medical expenses in Japan for the people. However, we say that you don't have to pay such people for the people who is self-responsibility that they get obese, ladies and gentlemen. That is why today we actually have to, because we say medical expenses should be used for the people who really need for such medical treatment, and that is why today we are very proud to propose to make them pay medical expenses fully, ladies and gentlemen. So today we have two arguments to tell you. Firstly, I will tell you why can we make such obese people fully pay the medical expenses in the first place. Secondly, I will tell you how after taking this proposal is going to be better situation in terms of medical field, ladies and gentlemen. So before I do the several things of definition, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are taking this policy in Japan. We actually the obese such fat people who actually going to hospital, and if they judged as obese, they are going to pay the medical expenses fully after they get out of the obese, ladies and gentlemen. And so today, this is our definition of today, ladies and gentlemen. So today, moving on to the first issue, why can we make them fully pay their medical expenses, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let's look at who is obese people, ladies and gentlemen. We think the obese people, we do consider that in such a USA, they actually uniquely such junk food is actually cheaper and cheap, ladies and gentlemen. But we say in Japan, such a junk food is actually not very cheap, but not cheap as well as such USA, right? So we say uniquely in Japan, we say for such people, who goes to buy junk food is actually who couldn't deter the appetite in the first place, right? That is why they go to such junk food shop in the first place, and they buy junk food and eat, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. And so we say in such situation, people actually could hesitate to buy and eat such junk food, but they couldn't, right? No, thank you. So we say in such situation, no, thank you. So we say that in such situation, we say such people is self-responsibility. But secondly, what is medical expenses, ladies and gentlemen? No, thank you. Is what we say medical expenses should be used very carefully, and should be used for the urgent people who really need to cure their injuries or disease, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we say simply that such medical expenses came from the taxpayers' money, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. We say in such situation, that because we say such money came from citizens, we say we have to use such money carefully. No, thank you. So we say but under the status quo, such obese people is actually oppressing such medical expenses, and because even though they are self-responsibility. No, thank you. So we say in such situation, this is justifiable proposal to take because we say such people is totally self-responsibility.
You just conceded those obesity citizens cannot control their appetite, which you are conceding there's a bulimia, they're having the eating disorder. Don't you think those people are the target who are like to get the medical expenses prioritized? Don't you think so?
Well, we think that such kind of people is also the target. No, thank you. It's because we say under the status quo they are eating too much because they are no, thank you, because they are such because they actually couldn't deter and couldn't actually hesitate to eat such things and so forth. So we say in such situation we can justifiable to take this proposal to deter no, thank you, to actually make them to actually make them fully pay. No, thank you. So moving on to the second issue, after taking this proposal, such people medical expenses is going to get better. No, thank you. So firstly, under the status quo, what is happening is because these obese people is actually oppressing the medical expenses from the governmental budget. No, thank you. Is we say that because these obese people eating too much and because they couldn't hesitate to buy and eat such kind of junk food, ladies and gentlemen. So we say in such situation, medical expenses actually such obese people is actually. Because we say medical expenses is which use for the obese people, no thank you, is so many. We say urgent people who actually need medical field right now is actually suffering. Why? Because we say obese people is actually going to hospital to actually medical checkups every day and every week and so forth. Such kind of medical checkups is very high cost, ladies and gentlemen. So we say in such situation, medical expenses from the governmental budget is suppressed right now, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. So we say medical treatment of the urgent people is delayed and or even not being done under status quo. No, thank you. So we say that's the serious problem because we say such people who really need such medical treatment cannot get, and as a consequence they actually die. They actually going to get the disease or injury get worse, and in worst case they die, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. So after taking this proposal, what is happening is because we say because of obese people is going to pay their medical expenses fully, which is not 70% but 30%, but we say beyond 100%, right? So we say. So we say in such situation, we can actually activate such money to another medical treatment. For example, we say they can who really need to take medical treatment, which means, for example, who really need cancer treatment, we can actually make better for such cancer treatment. More we say people who get injury, we can actually treat them better under the status quo. So we say in such situation. We can actually save such people who really need medical treatment because such obese people now fully paying us 100% of the medical expenses, ladies and gentlemen. So what I told you today in this debate is first we say such obese people became obese is simply because their self-responsibility, and secondly we told you as medical expenses should be used for such people who really need such medical treatment, and for those reasons we are very proud to propose.
I thank the first speaker from the proposition. Next I call upon the first speaker from the opening opposition side.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, if the government believes that medical treatment should be given to the people who are urgently need or genuinely need, it's a perfect paradigm for the opposition to stand on this debate. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, the majority of citizens who are obese in the current paradigm is not because of the self-responsibility, it's because of this huge amount of external influences that cause of their becoming them obese. And second of all, it is totally so unjust for government to pick and choose our citizens for them to deserve a so cherished medical treatment. That's why I'm extremely proud to stand on opposition. I'm going to talk about two things. Firstly, it's about the people who are obese in the current paradigm is not just a fear or responsibility, it's a bunch of external influences affected their health. Secondly, the medical care is for everyone. Even if there's people people is in the minority is getting self-responsibly getting fat, the medical expense is solely necessary for them. But before that, several rebuttals to the opening government. The government paradigm is quite ambiguous and quite unjust. Why is that? Because the government paradigm, as Prime Minister already conceded, that the medical care is for the person who is for people who really need. And also they have conceded that even morbidly obese citizens in their paradigm not to deserve a medical treatment as well. It is solely unjust for those people who are inherently become fat or more than become fat for not to deserve a medical treatment. It is solely urgent for them to actively deserve a medical treatment at the first place. Second of all, the analysis of fat food, especially in Japan, is totally foolish, right? Because the so-called natural food and healthy food is extremely expensive compared to that of the fat food and junk food, and even in Japan, right? So those kind of accessibility and social responsibility, the argument, the entire premise of the argument, which came from such propositions, is totally diminished. So yeah.
Okay, anyway, the obese problem has to be solved by the government. And how opposition will solve the current problem by using the other ways?
It is not the burden of the opposition. It is not a burden of the opposition to solve a clear alternative to eradicate the obese people in the first place. And the comparatively good solution would be explained by partner as well. And also, let me move on to the second point of the substantive. I have two substantive that I told you in my introduction. Firstly, is a philosophical level. Why in the current paradigm, the people who are obese is not because of their self, but a bunch of external influence of them. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you in my introduction, because of many influences not solely derived from their free choice or free incentive, genuine incentive from the people herself, it's not making people fat. Why is that? For example, people who are poor should be eating something unhealthy solely because the unhealthy food and natural food in the current paradigm is expensive in the first place. And secondly, because they are suffering from stress, they want to remove some kind of stress so that there are many people who are eating eating many foods who are in order to remove stress, and stress inherently came from outside, from themselves, is not a fault of their individual itself. And also, very importantly, they are influenced from media. The advertisement is very affecting the people. The very positive image created by the advertisement decrease the hesitation to have an access to McDonald's and so on at the first place. If they have a positive image to go to McDonald's and actually enjoy the McDonald's, they will likely to go again, and the positive image never disappear from their mind, and thereby there's going to be increase in the accessibility towards the fat food, and thereby the primary incentive, the primary cause of those kind of action is not from their own free choice, but because of external influences. And most importantly, Mr. Speaker, there are many people who are inherently becoming fat, as I told you in my introduction. There are the people who have to take the medical treatment in their paradigm, in our paradigm, right? It is not, as I told you in the introduction, it's not unjust with the arbitrary criteria to pick and choose because they are fat. There are many reasons to compose the people to getting fat, and also pick and choose with the arbitrary line to discriminate the people who are urgent to take the medical cure solely because they're inherently becoming fat. And also, so second point I'm going to explain is why medical care is necessary for everyone, solely derived and solely deserved from the government. Even if there are people getting fat because of the self-responsibility, even if those kind of people choose to become fat, it is necessary for the government to take responsibility to give medical cure for those people. Why is that? Solely because medical treatment ensures the minimum standards for all citizens in the current paradigm. Government has a responsibility to ensure and promote the minimum standard of the life or the better quality of life as much as possible. That is why exactly what the social welfare exists in every single country, and also the medical support should be ensured, should be provided for all citizens in order for government to respond to respect citizens' life as a whole. So, and as I told you in my first time, there are many reasons for the individual to become fat. There are many reasons. There are many external influences hugely affect the people to become fat, and it's extremely unjustifiable for the government or to pick and choose solely because they seem fat, and they do not regard the reality of people becoming fat, and it's solely unjustifiable for their paradigm to exist. That's why I'm very proud to oppose.
I thank the first speaker from the opening opposition. Next, I call upon the second speaker from the opening opposition, opening government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and how ladies and gentlemen in this house. First of all, there are many people, there are many obese citizens in Japan. And why are there? Why are there? Because they like to eat hamburger, fried potato in McDonald's. In addition, some children eat TV food, such as frozen food, because parents work and don't do cook for the children. So in Japan, many children have possibility to become obese citizen. So we must prove it. We must protect this problem. Okay. Before moving our argument, let me refute what the previous speaker has said. Mr. Speaker, the opposition side say that this problem is not due to self-responsibility. But this is not true. Because in Japan, yes, many companies advertise junk food, so such as McDonald's. But citizens can resist their appetite. They are hungry, but many citizens can't. So we can say that. We ask obvious citizen self-responsibility. So and secondly, the opposition side says that. Opposition side says that even if this problem is due to self-responsibility, the government have to conduct minimum standard. But yes.
Simple question. Why is it justifiable to marginalize obese citizens who enjoy their life in legal framework?
Okay. All citizens know if they eat junk food, they might become obese citizens. So enjoying is my right. But if we take this plan, they can enjoy, but only they pay their own medical expenses. So this is not a problem. Okay, sorry. Okay. Next, let me move on to our reconstruct what the partner has said. So, Mr. Speaker, taxation is based on money of the people. So the people pay much taxation. For example, consumption tax and income tax and corporation tax. So if they pay much taxation, of course they can't buy what they want. So, but instead of their benefit or the people, their benefit, they can help. They can help other people in need. For example, disabled people, for old people, so pension, for social security. So we can say that taxation must use for people in need. But obese citizens have a problem due to their carelessness. They like hamburger and fried potato, and they eat much. So, Mr. Speaker, for example, children go to McDonald's on the way to come back from school and eat much and many times. So, children, in this situation, children have possibility to become obese citizen. But this situation is due to parents' responsibility. So we can say that this problem is not only due to self-responsibility and due to parents' responsibility. Why cannot children protect the problem? In addition, in Japan, parents don't care about obese problem and don't do cook for their children. And parents make the children to become obese citizen. But after taking this plan, of course, parents must pay 70% of their medical cost. So, but it's very high cost for parents. So, if parents consider this cost, of course, parents become careful of the children food right. So, for this reason, we propose this plan. Thank you.
I thank the second speaker from opening government. I call upon the second speaker from opening opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the whole argument came up from the opening government. It's just self-responsibility. However, Mr. Speaker, if self-responsibility was all the argument we can talk about in the debate, there should be no social service in the first place. There should be no policies. There should be no social welfare because everyone should protect themselves by their own hands. However, Mr. Speaker, we do not want a country like that. We think we need this kind of system in order to help the weak, in order to help the person who are getting marginalized. And we think we should actually keep the status quo in order to assure those kind of healthcare for all the citizens in Japan. So today, Mr. Speaker, I would like to review basically about the practicals. Firstly, I would like to explain why these obese citizens wouldn't be able to cure the disease after taking proposal and how it is harmful. Secondly, I would like to explain how it would create a stigmatization towards those fat people and how it is bad. But before that, two rebuttals towards the previous speaker. Firstly, he came up and did say in the introduction, okay, there are those children who are eating the frozen food and fast food because their parents are busy working. Mr. Speaker, if that was the cause of the fat kids, then we should fix the those related to the working hours and makes the mother being able to stay at home during the summer time. Mr. Speaker, as my partner clearly told you in his argument, actually sometimes this kind of obesity is not only due to the self-responsibility. Sometimes it is a structural problem due to the advertisement of fast food and like due to the some kind of like social structure problem. So it is like totally unfair to ascribe all the responsibility to those fat people. So we say this is totally unjustifiable. So second refutation is that like the second argument that he said is that how like they can allocate those money, like the medical expenditure, for people who really need the money. And like he named about those disabled people in the example. However, Mr. Speaker, those lines of those people who really need the money and who does not need the money is so arbitrary. Sometimes in the disabled people, they might be this kind of scenario. Those are people who try to commit suicide and jump in the rail, but came back alive, but losing walk to his leg and being in the wheelchair. So, Mr. Speaker, it is contrary, like impossible to draw the line to which extent we have to allocate the money, to what people we need the money. So actually we say, as the opposition, we should assure it to everyone because it is a fundamental minimum assurance that should be assured in the all citizens. So moving on to my argument, that before any points. Okay, so moving on to my argument, why those obese citizens will be able to cure the disease and how it is harmful. So, like actually, after taking proposal, there will have like most of the people, excluding maybe the rich people, they will have the extreme financial difficulties to go to the doctors, and they would hesitate. Why is that? Because as the Prime Minister had clearly told you, actually right now you have to pay only the 30%, but you have to pay 100% after taking proposal, which is more than 3 times, and which will be the operation even in the moderate household. And moreover, my president has clearly told you that those like sometimes those fat people who go to the fast food restaurants often are actually poor people because those like fast foods are just cheap. The fast foods are relatively easy to take with, and like they have been like brainwashed by the good image of the advertisement. So sometimes those are the maybe most of the fat people may the poor people. So actually the majority in today's story are the moderate and poor. Like because the rich can like also get the treatment, we say these people will have the difficulties. Then what is the consequences? Firstly, we say when those people really have to go to the treatment, for example, getting the cancer and such, they have the difficulty to go to there. And moreover, Mr. Speaker, we say because those people, like what kind of disease do obese people are likely to have? Like maybe those people might get a temporary diseases, but however, those people are likely to get like chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease and such. And like in order to treat these kinds of serious diseases, they have to go to the regular treatment and they have to get the treatment. However, because they have to, every time they go to the hospital, they have to pay a lot of money. So they will hesitate and those kinds of their diseases will be never cured. Secondly, which might be the answer for the the member of the government, well actually we say after taking proposal, the government has extreme difficulty in order to improve or to cure obesity. Why is that? Because Mr. Speaker, under the current paradigm, because those people can go to the hospital, they are getting the professional advices and diagnosis and being prescribed pills in order to get the obesity better. They are asked not to eat maybe fast food. They are advised to take the exercise, and which are needed to take by the professional people in the hospital in the right place. However, after taking a proposal, the opportunity for these people to go to those hospitals in order to cure obesity is totally taken away. So by themselves, they have no knowledge. They cannot improve their eating habits. They do not know what kind of exercise they should take, or maybe they really need a prescribed pill health, but they cannot get pills and they cannot improve their condition. So, Mr. Speaker, actually, what they're trying to make better is like giving the treatment for the obesity. However, under the paradigm, because those people cannot go to the professional hospital, go to the professional doctors, they can never cure. So these are the consequences. So moving on to my second argument, how it will create a stigmatization, but before that, any points from your side? Okay.
Okay, of course not only doctor, there's a lot of the alternative resources to get the knowledge about the balanced food or other kind of things. Why only doctor is so crucial out there for the obese people?
Firstly, the doctors, unlike those amateur those people, they're the professionals. They have they can give the reason or they can give the advice based on their profession. Secondly, because they can go to the hospital and the current plan, they only have to pay the 30% of that aside. If they are taken away of those choices, they have to go to those kind of amateur advisors, of which they have to pay, because they are the private people, they have to pay a lot of amount of money, which has extremely difficulty for the poor people. So to the second argument, well, how it will create a stigmatization. The PM speaker just conceded, okay, because those facts, it's fact people's just responsibility. And we say this is a very dangerous message to send by the government. Because as we said, it will marginalize obese citizens, even though they're doing nothing wrong. They are not breaking laws, and actually they are not doing everything fine. And moreover, Mr. Speaker, even that some people have broken the law, we still assure minimum healthcare to the prisoners. And what we are doing is like totally marginalizing, not giving the minimum standard we have to do so. So what is the problem? We say those people, like, it's not labeling them as a self-responsibility. We say as a society we cannot adapt to this problem, which will be the more difficulty to solve the obesity, and we say this is a total problem. So for these reasons, we are very proud to oppose.
I thank the second speaker from the opening competition. Moving on to the closing half, I'd like to call upon the first speaker from the closing government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hello, ladies and gentlemen in this house. Today, we think that this debate is all about choice and responsibility, and we think that the government can prevent people from doing certain kind of thing, and we think that government has a responsibility to lead people to act in some way which is beneficial for all members of our society. And I want to first review to the opening opposition side and then make our extension. The opposition side has, first of all, the first speaker of opposition side said that the external effect can be like, because people act and because people act from the effect of external influence. Factors, it's okay for them to do anything. However, we think that that's not true, because we think that even though external effect can be a factor for people's activity, they perceive external effect and put from that they add their they put that thing into outcome, but in that process their characteristic is combined, and we think that, for example, under status code, tobacco is put on syntax. That is because we think that even though those external effects can be the reason why those people use tobacco, the government think that it's important to punish those people, and moreover, murder. In the case of murder, people do murder from external effect, but we punish them because we think that responsibility exists in them. So their argument doesn't stand. And second, the second speaker of the opposition side has made a big assumption. That is that those fat people will continue to be fat in after fun. However, we think that that's not true because those fat people will be incentivized to get opt out from this situation and opt out from this situation, from fat situation, and prevent themselves from being forced to pay all their medical fee. So and also they said that amateur is not enough, and the professional doctors is important. However, as I've said, those fat people will have incentive to opt out from their situation. They will voluntarily go to the internet or ask someone to ask them to provide some ways to get out from obesity, go to sports gym or change their food, the food balance and stuff like that. Sure.
So, if your goal is to solve obesity, why don't you start health food supply system instead of taking this proposal?
My partner will talk about that. Okay, so I'm going to add our extension. Well, we think that I'm first going to talk about the justification of this motion. We think that government can lead people to act in some way. For example, under status quo, government provides some tax reduction to those who marry because the government wants people to marry and make children, and the government can incentivize those people to act in those ways. And and we think that we think that the government can, and we think that disincentivizing people to act in some way is okay. That is, for example, tobacco's case, the government eliminate all the tax that incentivize people to have tobacco. And the tobacco is put on tobacco includes sin tax, which is a clear assertion from the government that tobacco is bad and it should be the one thing that should be disincentivized. So for all that, because the people is a member of the society, the people should fulfill their responsibility and contribute to the society in some way. So the government can make motion and lead people to act in some way, which is what we wanted to say. And I'm going to talk about the difference between tobacco and this motion. Well, we think that fat food is not bad at all, unlike tobacco. That is because we think that excessiveness is the crucial factor that we think is bad for people. Excessiveness. So we don't put sin tax on tobacco. Sin tax on fat food for that reason. Unlike tobacco. Sure.
So you just said eating fat food is bad, and on the second minute you said, okay, fat food itself isn't bad, which is true. Please clarify.
Well, we're saying that eating excessive fat food is a bad thing. We're saying that tobacco is bad itself, right? But the fat food, all kinds of food include fat substance, and it's a necessary thing for human, right? It's only bad when we take them excessively, right? So in that sense, our argument is consistent. And I'm going to talk more about the justification, why this motion is this motion doesn't contradict with the current policy of the government, which is to promote everyone's health. The only difference between the current policy and this policy is when we're going to take money from people. This policy will take money from people after they get fat. On the other hand, the current policy, this policy disincentivizes people to become fat. So therefore, this policy's target or the goal is to promote everyone's health, which doesn't contradict with the normal goal of the government's policy. Therefore, we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
I thank the first speaker from opposing government. Except call upon the first speaker from opposing opposition.
Thank you. Open opposition did a really good job of explaining about the obese citizen due to external effect. But we closing opposition focus on the type of obese citizen who become obese to do their self-responsibility. And we give the justifiable reason to provide social welfare to such people. Then I have two extensions about the firstly the balance achievement obligation versus the social welfare as compensation of the government. Then the second extension is that the specific harm to the poor obese people. These two extensions, but before there's some engagement. They said because they have a self-responsibility, we do so. We don't have to help such people. Well, we don't think so. This is our big point, so I explain on my point. Then first point, on my point, the first thing, why the government have to support. As long as citizens achieve their obligation, the government have to compensate such citizens, right? So thinking about the case of the self-responsibility is we have the two examples. People who driving car, yes, they choose to drive, right? But if they trigger some accident and they have some damage physically or mentally, yes, the government pay the money for them as a national insurance system, right? So their life is guaranteed. And thinking about other case, the people who working much harder than other people, like double working or something, yes, the possibility of disease is so high, no thank you, because they are too much hard, they do much working, and also that maybe the stress is so huge. And in such situation, the possibility may be high. But of course, the other government, national insurance system support such people's life. Why? Because they are the citizens and they are achieving their obligation and paying tax, and also they achieve their obligation like give education or give education, taxation, and working, and so forth. So as long as they achieve their obligation as a government, we have to guarantee their right to live, and we have to support their life. So even they have the obese people, they are obese because of their self-responsibility. The government have the duty to support their life. So we think that as a government, the supporting their life is totally justifiable thing. And second extension, and well, the harm to the obese people, especially poor obese people. Then yes, we have the two types of the obese people. Yes, of course, rich obese and poor obese. The rich obese is not the target of our extension. Then thinking about poor obese, because they even if they are obese, and because they get some kind of disease, yes, they go hospital, right? Because they have support and they can get support from the government. And so if the disease is not so influential one, like not a cancer or you're just ill, something not a serious ill, yes, they can go hospital and they can get support. And yes, because of the medical check or some kind of treatment, they can be cured, and their health is supported, and they can live and they can work and they can get happiness of their own life. But after taking this plan, what will happen? We think that's problematic. Because they cannot get the support from the government, and in the first place because they don't have money, right? So in such situation, the medical payment, medical expenses is really high, right, in the first place. Because after taking this plan, there is no support, and in the first place, the expenses in Japan is so high, so the government support every single student, right? So thinking about this condition, what will happen? Yes, they don't have money, and there is no support. Yes, comparing their life, life expenses like for food or for education, for the trafficking or something. Think about the other expenses. Because the expenses for medical treatment is so high, they will not go hospital. We think that's problematic. Because even if it is not tangible, the disease itself is really dangerous. And for example, the early detection of disease is so important in our life to guarantee our healthy condition, right? So after the difference, even when even if it is so tangible harm to their body, the possibility is really low because they cannot go because they don't have money. So it is clear that we cannot detect the disease in early place. So we can say that their healthy condition is totally not guaranteed. We think that's a problem because as a government, what we have to guarantee is their life itself, right? But after taking this breath, first life is not guaranteed, and also even if they are in some serious condition because they don't have money, and also that and also that it is really costly, right? In such a serious situation, if they pay money, they will go corrupt, right? Their life itself is not guaranteed by the government. So to save their life and also their health condition, the support is existing under the status quo. But so as a government, what we have to do is in early place to detect their disease and prevent the disease from go really serious condition and to guarantee their life, right? So after taking this plan, the thing is comparing the status quo and after taking this plan, as a government, we can save the citizens' right itself to live. So we think that this motion is totally unjustifiable and there's clear harm to the poor, obese people. So we think, to guarantee their life and also to guarantee their health condition, we think this motion is just an evil one. So I explain two things. Why the government have to guarantee the social welfare itself, even if there is self-responsibility. And secondly, I explained that what will happen after taking this plan, especially for poor obese people. So thinking about these 2 points, we are proud to oppose this model. Thank you.
I thank the member of opposition. Next, I call upon the second speaker from closing government, Government Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen. Before moving into our classes, I make it clear this debate. This debate is about the choice and responsibility because obese people excessively take such kind of the fatty food and they become obese. So the specific target of this debate about the disease is the lifestyle disease because the accident or other kind of things is totally not responsible for the obese person. So we specifically focus on the problem of lifestyle disease and the relationship between lifestyle disease and obese. And we say as long as they have a self-responsibility to excessively take the fatty food, they should have fulfilled the responsibility. Not dependent on the governmental welfare, so we are very proud to propose. And 2 things to talk about as a government whip. Firstly, I can explain, I can compare the justification of both sides and why we can say government can use its physical system to drive the people towards a certain lifestyle direction. And secondly, no thank you. And secondly, I'm going to tell you which side can achieve the better quality of life for the obese people. And by taking this proposal, my partner clearly told you, we can create a so huge deterrent power and a so huge incentive to be slim or to be healthy, not staying in obesity. So in terms of that, the government can fulfill the responsibility to ensure the individual health in that sense. No, thank you. And all rebuttal is integrated in my clashes. On to first clash about justification. Opening government say there's a self-responsibility or the urgent need of tax for the citizen, and the opening opposition said that they are not liable because of external effects, and fresh food is very expensive, that Fujita told you, and second, because of the stress of daily life or advertisement and so on and so forth. Then I responded by each. And first, about fresh food is so expensive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's totally bullshit. If you go to the grocery store, you can easily find the cheaper, the fresh food which is produced in Japan. And the important point here is the poor people don't use their time to cook the balanced food for the sake of the efficiency, and they totally depend on the cheese and macaroni or so on and so forth. And we think as long as they find malicious intention to reduce their time to cook and depend on such kind of the fatty food, in terms of that they have the self-responsibility for their own food. And second, about the stress. And firstly, the opening opposition never ever explained to you why stress can be a reason to reduce the responsibility from each individual. If their analysis is totally true, and if the criminal committed crime because of the stress is not criminally liable, of course not. So the stress cannot be a reason to reduce responsibility from the individual later. And third, about the advertisement. And because of the advertisement, they are totally brainwashed, totally silly. Because the brainwash is advertisement is certainly push the individual choice, but it's never coercive in the first place. So if their analysis is true, that every single the clients can pay back their own product because they are brainwashed. So it is because of the advertisement, but this such kind of the silly logic never stands in the reality life. So even as long as the effect of advertisement is not coercive, the certain room for the self-responsibility exists. But my partner came up to this and clearly said the clear justification why government can use its fiscal system to drive the life of citizens to certain direction. Because society and the individual is totally inseparable, and the individual activity might influence society as a whole. So as long as government have a responsibility to stabilize our society by controlling the individual life, they have a social justification to use the physical system. My partner already told you, in case of marriage, the marriage has a certain reproductive benefit for the society. That's why the government encourages marriage by using the tax deduction. And second, about the tobacco case, and the tobacco is certainly harmful for our health. That's why the government has a social incentive to giving tobacco a tax, the same tax, and to discourage the usage of tobacco from the individual. And no, thank you. And my partner clearly told you why in this case this policy is uniquely necessary, because the fat itself is not harmful, but excessive usage itself is totally pernicious. My partner clearly told you. So unlike tobacco or the alcohol case, the same tax cannot be applied in this case. And we specifically and uniquely target excessive usage of the obese people because many lifestyle diseases will be diagnosed by the excessive amount of the fat inside our body, and a doctor can easily detect the root cause of the disease. In that sense, the government is totally just this activity is totally justifiable. Before that, Jinjin also.
So even though tobacco may be the cause of lung cancer, you still assure medical expenses in order to cure lung cancer. Why do you uniquely have to take away the
As I already explained to you, the tobacco itself, the nicotine or tar itself is harmful. That's why we give them a same tax. But in case of the fat tax, in case of the fat itself is not so dangerous for our health, and it's certainly necessary for our body as long as the usage itself is totally moderate. That's why we cannot give them a tax in the first place. That's the unique point my partner has clearly explained to you. On to the second issue, which side can achieve a better quality of life for each individual. And opening opposition came up to say that obese people cannot access because they have to pay full amount of the medical fee. But ladies and gentlemen, the harm caused by this logic is already rebutted by my partner. And even though they cannot go to the doctor, and they can use the voluntary resource which is existing in the internet, and such article is written by the doctor in many cases, and so they can easily get the advice of the professionals by using the internet. And second, the closing opposition said is the early detection cannot be applied in this case, but ladies and gentlemen, we can still use the annual health checking, which is totally independent from the national healthcare system of the government, which is provided by the company or such kind of faculty. So the early detection is not so huge problem in the first place. But my partner clearly told you, by taking this proposal, we can create a so huge incentive to be slim or so huge deterrent power not to be fat, and as long as they use it moderately, they can get the happiness of their food, of their fat, so we can achieve the moderate happiness of the individual by creating so huge deterrent power for the individual. And finally, stigmatization problem and other kind of things is already done tobacco or alcohol, but the stigmatization effect is not so huge in the first place. But we told you it's very simple. The government can use their physical system to drive each individual life in the first place. And this policy will create the so huge better quality of life for the individual we propose.
The second speaker from closing government. Next, I call upon the second speaker from closing opposition of this way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am really disappointed at the government of Mr. Speaker because he ignored my part of the extension of this debate. Yes, all did a really good job explaining about the obese citizen due to the external effect. We closing have mainly talked about focus on the type of obese citizen who become obese due to their self-responsibility. And that's why, regardless of any reason, regardless of any factors, because of the balance between the duty and help of the government has a clear duty to pay medical expenses to all types of medical expenses. This is the point of what my partner brought you on this debate from the start of his speech. No engagement coming from the government. That is, Mr. Speaker, we give the justifiable reason to provide social welfare to all types of obese citizens, Mr. Speaker. That is why this is clear contribution from the closing of, and that is why I'm extremely proud of my partner, and I'm extremely proud to oppose. Two issues to summarize this debate. First, I'm going to talk about the necessity of eradication of the help of the government to obese citizens. Second, I'm going to talk about the effect of the eradication of medical expenses. Moving on to the first issue about necessity. Firstly, the idea first coming to the floor is that obese citizens oppress the budget of the government because obese citizens cannot deter themselves from eating fatty food. Three responses for that. Firstly, this is not always true in the first place. Obese citizens, precisely because obese citizens have the capacity to change their lifestyle voluntarily, Mr. Speaker, thinking about the risk with benefit of becoming obese, Mr. Speaker. For example, there are many examples where people succeed in going on diet. That is why, in the first place, the premise of the opening of government implies that obese citizens are evil, and we think it is quite discriminatory stance coming from the opening government in the first place. Second response we have, even if this is true, we think it is unjust. This is the point of what my partner gave you from the start with his speech. Precisely because obese citizens, all types of obese citizens, fulfill their duty, like the example, paying taxation, Mr. Speaker. Why is it justifiable to exploit the taxation from obese citizens who fulfill their duty? No answer coming from entire government, Mr. Speaker. That's why this is the reason why obese citizens why the government has a fundamental reason to pay taxation to all types of people, Mr. Speaker. And third, Mr. Speaker, third response we have, it's immoral, Mr. Speaker, because the harm that is going to be materialized by becoming obese should not be comparable to the harm of cancer and so forth, Mr. Speaker. Why? Because due to diabetes and due to obesity, Mr. Speaker, people have the potential to die, Mr. Speaker. That's why eradication of health is threatening the life of obese citizens, especially to poor citizens. This is what my partner brought you from the start of his speech. That is why, Mr. Speaker, this is extremely unjust and this is extremely immoral because poor obese citizens fulfill the duty like the example of cancer citizens who extremely excessively smoke, Mr. Speaker. That is why, Mr. Speaker, it is immoral and we think it's unjust. And the idea second coming from the floor is that government has the right to promote a certain kind of value. This is from closing government. I have two responses for that. Firstly, this is not always true. Because, Mr. Speaker, what kind of lifestyle is best is totally different. Because lifestyle has many spectrum in the first place. What kind of lifestyle is better for each individual cannot be decided paternalistically by the government in the first place. Second response we have, even if this is true, this way of promoting healthy lifestyle is unjust for two reasons. Number one, each individual has the right to enjoy the help of the government as far as they pay taxation, as far as they enjoy their life in legal framework. This is the point of what my partner gave you from his speech. That's why is it justifiable to sacrifice the life of obese citizens in comparison with the patients of cancer who excessively smoke tobacco, Mr. Speaker? No answer from the entire proposition. The second reason is that this is counterproductive, and this is what my partner gave you from his speech. In the first place, root cause remains continuously even if we take this model. Moreover, poor people give up recovering from cancer by taking this model. Why is it necessary to tackle this problem in this indirect way, Mr. Speaker? That is why, Mr. Speaker, like tobacco, Mr. Speaker, we can impose sin tax on fatty food, and this is philosophically justifiable, and this is extremely effective. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, this can have the potential of cutting root cause, Mr. Speaker. That's why, Mr. Speaker, their way of promoting the value to sell is extremely counterproductive and extremely unjust and extremely, Mr. Speaker, counterproductive. That's why, Mr. Speaker, we think this is not true. And the idea started coming from the prop is that fatty food is different from tobacco. Of course, this is not the main issue of this debate, but I want to pick up this point. Two responses for that. First response we have, this is not true, Mr. Speaker. This is not true for two reasons. Number one, fatty food is also have the addictive effect for fatty food, for citizens, Mr. Speaker, in the first place. That's why you are going to misunderstand the nature of fatty food. Second, what we say, what amount of fatty food is excessive is not accurately decided by each citizen, Mr. Speaker. That's why this is quite arbitrary standard. And second response we have, even this is true, Mr. Speaker, excessive nature of fatty food itself cannot be the reason to justify this motion. Why? Because let's imagine, if I get hurt by the excessive running, Mr. Speaker, is it justified to cut my medical expenses? No, Mr. Speaker. The nature of excessivity cannot be the reason to take this model. Moving on to the second issue. I like the point.
If you say fatty food is so addictive and discouraging the entire health of the individual, what government can use their fiscal system to allocate the individual life to a certain direction, like case of tobacco, like case of alcohol?
Mr. Speaker, his point never ever makes sense, Mr. Speaker, precisely because his point is totally irrelevant on this debate, because he continuously compared the tobacco with this kind of obese food, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, even this is true, Mr. Speaker, why is this justifiable to take this proposal uniquely, never ever answer from the side of the That's why this is not true. Moving on to the second issue about the effect. The idea first coming from the prop is that we can utilize their money effectively who rarely need the social welfare. First response we have, this is not true, because obese citizens rarely need social welfare. Second response we have, even if this is true, this is philosophically unjust, and this is the point of what my partner gave you from the start of his speech. All types of obese citizens fulfill the duty of paying taxation. Why is it justifiable for the government to sacrifice this type of citizen, Mr. Speaker? This is power imbalance between the government and each individual, each innocent citizen, Mr. Speaker. That is why in the first place, there is no justifiable reason to take this model. And lastly, there is clear solution, there is between goal and mismatch between goal and solution by taking this model. First reason is that rich obese citizens continuously eat fatty food in the first place. That's why they cannot solve the problem of rich people, even if there is a certain kind of problem. And second, as my partner clearly explained to you, as extension, Mr. Speaker, poor people give up recovering from becoming obese. That is why recovering from obese. That is why, Mr. Speaker, poor people lose a chance to improve their lifestyle, to rethink about their lifestyle, Mr. Speaker. That's why, for two reasons, there is clear mismatch between solution gap, and that's why I oppose.
I thank the opposition whip. I thank all speakers for a nice cooperation.